To the stage, Mr. Göran Persson served as the Prime Minister of Sweden for 10 years, from 1996 to 2006, making him the second longest continuously governing Prime Minister in Swedish political history. Previously, when he was Minister of Finance, he designed what was called the Persson Plan, austerity measures which addressed the problem of high unemployment and chronic budget deficit. When he became Prime Minister, he implemented welfare cuts, tax increases, and deregulation of various industries. And as the result, GDP growth rose above the European average. The government budget was in surplus after at one time recording deficit at 12% of GDP. Welcome, Mr. Persson.
Thank you.
Welcome. Well, Sweden seems to be the model and the ideal that we all aspire for. Tell us how you do it and how do we get to that place? Or what are some shortcomings, if you can find any?
First, let me say, we shall not exaggerate. It's important. Of course, also, we have our problems. That is something I want to say from the beginning. Because when you are dealing with building a welfare model, you must always be prepared to change, adapt, to go for reform. But the basic idea that it is open for everyone, it is oriented towards being productive, that is the idea. Simply expressed, if a country has a well-educated population, if the population is healthy, if the population are safe, then they are also willing to take risks, to go for a new job, to move to another city, to take a chance, to start a new company, because they know if they fail, they are not let alone. So it is productive. And when the system starts becoming so big and so generous, so many people say, no, we don't go for the new. We stick to the old. And if we are becoming unemployed, for instance, it's not a problem because we have this security nevertheless. Then the welfare model ends up in being not productive. So you must constantly adapt, adjust for this. And then, and that is important, you need to pay for it. It's not free. It is extremely expensive. And therefore you also need to be very efficient, to use the resources in an efficient way, and constantly ask yourself, can we do it better? Can we get more out of less? So there are a lot that can be improved, but so far it has worked, and so far it has a firm popular support among a broad range in the society. That is also important. And let me say that there is also one part of the system that is not so often discussed internationally, and that is the finance side. How to finance this, how to collect the payroll taxes, how to collect the taxes, how to do that in an efficient way without fraud. That is also a very important part of how we build this system. And our tax authorities, they are regarded as the most service-minded public authorities in the society, with extremely high rating, not least from small and medium-sized enterprises. And that is important, because without the financing, you can't go for any welfare system at all. And we have seen so many that have not paid for it. That is a part of the European problem just now. They want to have the welfare model, but they don't want to pay for it. A surplus in the public finances is a vital part of the idea how to finance this welfare model. But it is constantly under reform. The latest was the pension system, where we went from a system that was decided from benefits to be decided out from contributions. Not popular at all, but necessary to do.
It's almost a follow-up question, just to be a bit more specific. Would you say that the Swedish model that we knew of in the 70s and the one that we know now, we know that both are very successful. What would be the crucial difference? Could you characterize it as more market-friendly reform, as some argue?
Partly, in some of the activities in the public sector, we have introduced competition, but not compromising with the ideas behind what the services should deliver. Of course not, but more out of less. The biggest change since the 70s is that we have introduced a completely new sector in our welfare system, and that is the child care sector. It is built up, and for every family today, there is a child care that is of high quality, that has a pedagogical content, that starts from the age of 2 to 3 and earlier if there is a need, and that has a very, very low fee, and that makes it possible for young couples, man and woman, with good education, with professional aspirations, to combine the responsibility for the family and the children with a continuing academic or professional career. It has worked tremendously well. And we are one of the few countries in Europe that has a positive birth rate. Mainly, I think, because of this. So we are able to reproduce ourselves.
One more follow-up then. Prime Minister Wim Kok, who represents another very successul European model, had mentioned at the end of his comments that perhaps in the future we will only be able to provide little less than what we can provide now because of demographic reasons and because of slower growth in the world economy. Do you think the Swedish model is more sustainable?
You can't exclude that, but if you reflect, if there is a willingness to finance, then I think it is possible to continue. But if the willingness to finance is not there, then we have to reduce, of course. I think that is the crucial point. The demographic situation, I think we have taken care of that with the new pension system. And I am also of the opinion that our supply of workforce for the future, it will come from persons who stay 1 or 2 or 3 years extra in their professional activity, and from students who start 1 or 2 years earlier than today. And if you just can raise the retirement age with 1 year, you add a supply of roughly that year to 2.5% to the workforce. And then if you have 5 years to go on the retirement side and 2-3 years on the entrance to the workforce, I think there you have the reserves. And then we are back again to the welfare model, because it's about seeing to that your own workforce is better adapted for new jobs, retraining, in-service training, and not let alone if they lose their jobs.